Theme 2, Environment and Nature. Gap filling, Reading 1. The Rockies. The Rocky Mountains run almost the length of North America. They start in the northwest, but lie only a few hundred miles from the center in more southern areas. Although the Rockies are smaller than the Alps, they are no less wonderful. There are many roads across the Rockies, but the best way to see them is to travel by train. You start from Vancouver, the most attractive of Canada's big cities. Standing with its feet in the water and its head in the mountains, this city allows its residents to ski on slopes just 15 minutes by car from the city centre. 30 passenger trains a day used to set off from Vancouver on the cross-continent railway. Now there are just 3 a week, but the ride is still a great adventure. You sleep on board, which is fun, but travel through some of the best scenery at night. Theme 2, Environment and Nature. Gap filling, Reading 2. Biological diversity has become widely recognized as a critical conservation issue only in the past 2 decades. The rapid destruction of the tropical rainforests, which are the ecosystems with the highest known species diversity on Earth, has awakened people to the importance and fragility of biological diversity. The high rate of species extinctions in these environments is jolting, but it is important to recognize the significance of biological diversity in all ecosystems. As the human population continues to expand, it will negatively affect one after another of Earth's ecosystems. In terrestrial ecosystems and in fringe marine ecosystems, such as wetlands, the most common problem is habitat destruction. In most situations, the result is irreversible. Now humans are beginning to destroy marine ecosystems through other types of activities, such as dispersal and runoff of poisonous waste. In less than 2 centuries, by significantly reducing the variety of species on Earth, they have irrevocably redirected the natural course of evolution. Certainly, there have been periods in Earth's history when mass extinctions have occurred. The extinction of the dinosaurs was caused by some physical event, either climatic or cosmic. There have also been less dramatic extinctions, as when natural competition between species reached an extreme conclusion. Only 0.01% of the species that have lived on Earth have survived to the present, and it was largely chance that determined which species survived and which died out. However, nothing has ever equaled the magnitude and speed with which the human species is altering the physical and chemical world and demolishing the environment. In fact, there is wide agreement that it is the rate of change humans are inflicting, even more than the changes themselves, that will lead to biological devastation. Life on Earth has continually been in flux, as slow physical and chemical changes have occurred on Earth. But life needs time to adapt. Time for migration and genetic adaptation within existing species, and time for the proliferation of new genetic material, and new species that may be able to survive in new environments. Theme 2, Environment and Nature. Reading Comprehension. Reading 1. Quite different from storm surges are the giant sea waves called tsunamis, which derive their name from the Japanese expression for high water in a harbour. These waves are also referred to by the general public as tidal waves, although they have relatively little to do with tides. Scientists often refer to them as seismic sea waves, far more appropriate in that they do result from undersea seismic activity. Tsunamis are caused when the sea bottom suddenly moves during an underwater earthquake or volcano, for example, and the water above the moving earth is suddenly displaced. This sudden shift of water sets off a series of waves. These waves can travel great distances at speeds close to 700 kilometers per hour. In the open ocean, tsunamis have little noticeable amplitude, often no more than 1 or 2 meters. It is when they hit the shallow waters near the coast that they increase in height, possibly up to 40 meters. Tsunamis often occur in the Pacific, because the Pacific is an area of heavy seismic activity. Two areas of the Pacific well accustomed to the threat of tsunamis are Japan and Hawaii. Because the seismic activity that causes tsunamis in Japan often occurs on the ocean bottom, quite close to the islands, the tsunamis that hit Japan often come with little warning and can, therefore, prove disastrous. Most of the tsunamis that hit the Hawaiian Islands, however, originate from thousands of miles away near the coast of Alaska. So these tsunamis have a much greater distance to travel, and the inhabitants of Hawaii generally have time for warning of their imminent arrival. Tsunamis are certainly not limited to Japan and Hawaii. In 1755, Europe experienced a calamitous tsunami, when movement along the fault line near the Azores caused a massive tsunami to sweep onto the Portuguese coast and flood the heavily populated area around Lisbon. The greatest tsunami on record occurred on the other side of the world in 1883, when the Krakatoa volcano underwent a massive explosion, sending waves more than 30 meters high onto nearby Indonesian islands. The tsunami from this volcano actually travelled around the world and was witnessed as far away as the English Channel. Theme 2. Environment and Nature. Reading Comprehension. Reading 2. The ocean bottom, a region nearly 2.5 times greater than the total land area of the Earth, is a vast frontier that even today is largely unexplored and uncharted. Until about a century ago, the deep ocean floor was completely inaccessible, hidden beneath waters averaging over 3,600 meters deep. Totally without light and subjected to intense pressures, hundreds of times greater than at the Earth's surface, the deep ocean bottom is a hostile environment to humans, in some ways as forbidding and remote as the void of outer space. Although researchers have taken samples of deep ocean rocks and sediments for over a century, the first detailed global investigation of the ocean bottom did not actually start until 1968, with the beginning of the National Science Foundation's Deep Sea Drilling Project, DSDP. Using techniques first developed for the offshore oil and gas industry, the DSDP's drill ship, the Glomar Challenger, was able to maintain a steady position on the ocean's surface and drill in very deep waters, extracting samples of sediments and rock from the ocean floor. The Glomar Challenger completed 96 voyages in a 15-year research program that ended in November 1983. During this time, the vessel logged 600,000 kilometres and took almost 20,000 core samples of seabed sediments and rocks at 624 drilling sites around the world. The Glomar Challenger's core samples have allowed geologists to reconstruct what the planet looked like hundreds of millions of years ago, and to calculate what it will probably look like millions of years in the future. Today, largely on the strength of evidence gathered during the Glomar Challenger's voyages, nearly all Earth scientists agree on the theories of plate tectonics and continental drift that explain many of the geological processes that shape the Earth. The cores of sediment drilled by the Glomar Challenger have also yielded information critical to understanding the world's past climates. Deep ocean sediments provide a climatic record stretching back hundreds of millions of years because they are largely isolated from the mechanical erosion and the intense chemical and biological activity that rapidly destroy much land-based evidence of past climates. This record has already provided insights into the patterns and causes of past climatic change, information that may be used to predict future climates.